Hi there, guys. I wanted to make this next video. Um, I talked the other day about, I think I said something about how I wanted to do a video about Black men, especially, but men in general, who hate their mothers. Um, and it's kind of hard to find like that statistical data. You know what I'm saying? Like it's hard to actually pinpoint it to their mothers. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard for me to do. All I do have though is like word of mouth. I have, evidence and so forth that I have personally seen. But at the end of the day, it's a very, very real thing with men who hate their mothers and their um, treatment of women, and their uplifting of patriarchy and misogyny, you know. Um, but in this video, there's a connection with that. But what I want to talk more about is how, especially Black men, this one I'm going to leave it Black men, who hate their mothers, it seems, or hate women, it seems, but yet idolize their fathers. And that's really the point that I want to make this video on. The fact that the majority of Black men very much so idolize their fathers and downgrade their mothers or have no special respect or love or whatever for their mom to that level. Now, disclaimer, I'm not talking about every Black man. There are plenty of Black men out here who absolutely love their mothers, yeah, and show it, you know, plenty. But there is an overwhelming amount, and I don't know if it's inner city. I don't know if it's more of a majority of Black men from this region of the country or whatever. It seems to be all over. But I say that to say I don't have statistical data that would actually um, pinpoint more of where the issue is. But I know that it is an issue. It is an ongoing issue where, as I said, there's a number of Black men who grow up even though their dads weren't there, even though they heard things about their dads, not just from their moms, they heard it all throughout the community. They know that their dads were not there. They know that their dads probably had other families. They know their dads were hustlers, possibly uh, murderers, in jail, in prison for life, you know. And instead of blaming their dad or instead of looking at the outcome of their fathers and leaning more toward hopefully righteousness and whatever their mom taught them that was good or their families, um, they will absolutely, for whatever reason, turn that around and be mad and angry at the mother and literally idolize the dad. Now, I don't know if it is an issue that maybe the mom didn't speak that bad of the dad or whatever. Like I don't know. Um, but it's a thing. It is an absolute thing. I will speak personally with for my son. Um, now my son, his biological father, um, he wasn't well, let me just try to explain a little bit. So my son's biological father, um literally it was something that kind of just happened. I wasn't on no birth control, and I was young, didn't even think that I was gonna, get pregnant or whatever. But anyway, it happened. And so uh, I wasn't even gonna tell him. I literally, honestly, wasn't gonna tell him because I didn't even really know him very, very well, and I'm confessing my faults here. So, um, but yeah, I didn't know him like that. I didn't know anything about vetting or whatever. I mean, he was just, but anyway, and when he found out, because like I said, I wasn't going to say anything to him because I didn't think this was something that was going to last. Like it's just something that happened. So I was literally in a lot of ways just waiting for him to go on nobody's business. Um, but my family told him, uh, he was friends with one of my cousins' boyfriends or whatever. So that was that thing. But they told him. And when they told him, do you know what his attitude was? First thing out his mouth, it ain't mine. That's all I needed. I was like, cool, cool. I don't have to deal with you. I don't really even have to know you, whatever, like going about your business. It's going to be my baby. I got this. I'm good, whatever. Now, that is not to say that I would not have just allowed him around his son or, allowed him if he really wanted to be a dad or whatever. But I already knew that wasn't what this was. And so I knew I was going to have to do it on my own or whatever. So I'm okay. I'm okay. Like I'm not going to beg. I still don't beg nobody. I've never begged no man for nothing. I don't know. Maybe that's masculine of me. I don't know. So, but I got married. Um, I got married. It was kind of weird. It's one of those do the right thing type of situations. And the guy that I married, of course, became my son's father by, what do you call it? Like a child of the marriage. Um, I will also say this is not something where I'm going around, sleeping around, and meeting and talking to all these different men and all like that. I know that is maybe how that sounds, but believe me, that is not how that was. Um, anyway, with that being the case, his dad had opportunity, absolutely many opportunities to be in my son's life. Um, my husband and I even talked about like, us doing this and what it will look like for him to come around my son and be a part of it. Like we both agreed like it was going to be okay. um and but he chose not to. He chose not to. So that was that. And so without going into too much more, my son as a teenage boy really took it hard that he didn't have his biological dad in his life. Now, he had my husband from birth. He had him from birth. Um, my first husband, even after my son was grown, like my son was in his 20s and still living with my husband who was gone and remarried and all of that at this time. Like, um, he stayed a father to my son. Matter of fact, he still to this day is on my son's Facebook page congratulating him about, my two new grandbabies or whatever. So he's still there. He was always there. He's a very good man. And like I have said before, I would not and don't have anything bad to say about my first husband. We were just young, didn't know what the hell we was doing, and that's really just that. You know what I'm saying? I have no bad words or ill feelings about him. He is a good man, and married a woman. They're still together. I have met her. They have a child. Like it's good. It's cool. Um, But getting back to my son, yeah, when he was a teenager, he asked those questions. He asked those hard questions, and I couldn't answer them because, like I said, I didn't really know his dad like that. Like, I don't know, and so I did my best. I tried my best. I tried to answer the questions or whatever. And man, I remember like it was yesterday. I was standing in my kitchen, and my son came to me. I don't know, 14, 15, 16. I don't know how old he was. Um, but we were talking about stuff. And I remember my son, we were very, very, very close, very close. Because it was just me and him for 15 years until my daughter came along, you know. So I remember he came to me and he was in tears. And I never forget his words. And he asked me, but mama, why he don't want me? Or why my dad don't want to have nothing to do with me? And that's what a God that broke my heart. It broke my heart because I can't answer that question. He was a good boy, you know. I don't know, and he looked just like him. He looked. It's crazy the way he looked just like me and just like his dad. It's amazing how that happened. But yeah, like they look just alike, you know. But getting off of that, I brought that up to say that he always had a love for his dad. He always wanted to know about him. Um, he was always curious. I think in a lot of ways he tried when he started doing that bad stuff that he, got into a little bit, nothing horrible, but I think it was a way of him searching and trying to connect with his dad because I hadn't seen his dad in years. Like I didn't know what had happened. But once again, my family, because there's a little bit of a connection there. Um, I found out through them that he had been in prison for a long time. And actually, when I did get to meet him again, he told me that he was like just getting out of prison and all this kind of stuff. And he didn't go into details. I don't know what happened, but um, at that time, he had another opportunity to be with my son, see my son, whatever. And at that time, he did. We met at a party at one of my cousin's house, and they were really, it really pissed me off because, in a lot of ways, my cousins, my family really was just really in my business and trying to make it seem like, oh, you try to keep that boy away from him. I wasn't trying to keep him away from him. I'm just like, if you don't want to have nothing to do with my son, I'm cool with that. You know what I'm saying? So, but they took it on themselves to make this arrangement happen and invited him to the party when I didn't even know he was going to be there until later. So, him and my son meet, you know, uh, and we made arrangements for him to come by, I think the next day or a week or so or whatever. And he actually took my son to his house and to his side of the family or whatever, and my son got to meet other siblings and I think some grandparents and things like that. And that was great. And I was all for it. And that next weekend or whatever the next time they were supposed to meet, um, he told my son he was going to pick him up. And so, I'm not thinking nothing different. My son ain't thinking nothing different. He gave my son the time. Well, it was a classic scenario of my son literally sitting on the porch waiting for him till dark. And I literally had to finally tell my son, babe, you need to come on back in the house. He's not coming. He's not coming. And he didn't want to come in the house. But like you can't sit out there all night. He ain't called, he haven't said nothing. He just literally kept my son just out there waiting. And we never heard from him again. So I didn't stop nothing. He had all the freedom in the world to see my side. Like it was there available for him. He chose not to. And that is the case in a lot of situations. But leave it to the men. Oh, she want me, I ain't want her. And so, she making it hard for me to see my kid. Or, she trying to put me on child support. And she hate me because I don't want her no more. Like, all of these silly stories that you hear all the time from these men, you know. All the women always want them because they just such wonderful, wonderful men that the women, Joe, they trying to ruin their life. Oh, they ruining all my relationships with every other woman and every other woman. you know. And now, granted, I can imagine that some of that does happen, especially with some of the type of women that these men go after. Because they love to talk about ghetto Gwen and Shaquita and you ignorant and you're not wifey material and everything. But it's so funny how them type of women still keep getting pregnant. Like something is not adding up, you know. So it is really and truly and definitely a thing that so many black men grow up to have animosity toward their mothers who loved them, who nurtured them, who stayed there, who raised them, who put them to school, who did the best that they could, who struggled, you know what I'm saying, to do it. They don't know nothing about their dad. And what they do know about their dad is nowhere near anything as good as the life that they have with their mother. But like I say, there are so many black men out there who will dog the hell out of their mom and take up for a man that they never knew and who's not in their life and who chose not to be in their life. But, you know, I'm going to close the video on this one. I saw a YouTube clip. No, this wasn't a YouTube clip. I saw I don't know what podcast this was on, but I saw it. And it was on YouTube or it could have been on Facebook. But there was this man, this black man who looked established. He looked like he had made something of himself. He had some black women there. It was kind of like I guess it was a dating thing or something. I don't know. But he was basically saying that, I like these women, these type of women, whatever, and I don't want to deal with no baby mamas. Okay. So it offended some of the women because their thing is just like, okay, well, why? And his thing was basically when you got to the truth of what he was saying is that his mom was a baby mama. His mom was a single mom and he saw her struggle and he don't want that for himself and for his life. And I'm saying to myself, sir, do you hear what you're saying? If you are with her and if you all build a life and you stay, then she won't be a baby mama. She won't be a single mother. If you practice safe sex and put on a condom, or if you have a vasectomy, whatever, she ain't gonna be no baby mama. Like that's what I'm saying. It's amazing because it's like these men treat being a baby mama or a single mom like something that just happens. Like they don't have anything to do with it. She just a single baby mama now. And like black women in America in inner cities, just, I don't know, at some certain age, they just get a single baby mama gene that kicks on in their life and they get pregnant. And the men don't know nothing about it. The men go, oh, she a single baby mom. Like it's amazing how they completely disconnect themselves from it. Like they had nothing to do with it. Or they say stuff like, oh, we only had sex one time. I mean, like, did you take health in school? Like, did you? Because I remember going to health class in my inner city school. I remember that. I remember learning about sex. I remember This teacher, her name was Miss Bell. Don't ask me how I remember that, but I remember Miss Bell standing up in the auditorium, putting a condom on a banana. So I don't know where everybody else was. Like I don't know where the boys was. Maybe they was playing. Maybe they wasn't paying attention. Like I don't know. But we learned that. We all learned that. So for full grown men in their 30s, 40s, and some in their 50s to be talking about single baby moms like they had nothing to do with it, or saying stuff like, oh, we only had sex one time. Do you understand how remedial you sound to say something like that? Penis and vagina and semen and eggs usually equal baby. Like normally that's what happens, unless one of the man or the woman can't have children. That is usually how it happens, and it don't take but one time. Like it's not science. Like I mean, it is. It actually is science, but like I don't understand how they're baffled by it. But anyway, moving on from that. Um, you guys let me know. You guys leave me a comment if you know of men, especially black ones, because I'm gonna make this real quick point. When we look at the world, when we look at so many other men in other cultures, you'll hear it all the time, especially with white men. I hate my dad. You know, other men from other countries. I hate my dad. I don't respect my dad or whatever. And they say this stuff because of how their dad was, and if their dad left them, if their dad left them alone, if their dad didn't raise them. Many men in many other cultures will say stuff like they hate their dads. Like, and I'm not pushing hating your dad. I'm not pushing that. I'm just saying that's usually the way it works a lot of times. But black American men, like, I don't know, somewhere along the line, they don't get that. They hate their moms who was there and stayed and struggled and suffered and sacrificed. Because I definitely sacrificed for my son. You know what I'm saying? I was married for a great number of years. I think he was a teenager when he and and my first husband finally decided to separate and divorce. But before that, I mean, after that, yeah, it was hard. It was very, very hard. So yeah, I struggled, and I sacrificed. And like I say, my son still, at a certain point in his life, had that admiration for a man he didn't even know. And I was the enemy. I didn't tell y'all that part. I was the enemy for a very long time. I didn't try to defend myself like I probably at this point looking back like I probably should have. I never said anything bad about his dad. I never told him the way he acted, the things he said. I never told him that he told me first thing out his mouth, it ain't mine. Like I never told my son that stuff, you know? And I don't know. Maybe I should have, and maybe that is what caused him to have animosity toward me. Maybe if he had known how the situation really did unfold, maybe he would have had more sympathy toward me, or maybe he wouldn't have, wanted to, you know, what is the word I'm looking for? Like almost like memorialize his dad or whatever, or not put any whatever on his dad, but he put it all on me. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, he was angry at me for a long time, but I didn't want to bash his dad, not because I liked them or loved them or any of this. It's just I just didn't want to do that because my rationale, and you guys can let me know what you think about this. My rationale was I didn't want to bash or humiliate or say anything bad, negative, whatever about my son's biological dad because that's a part of him. And I didn't want my son to feel in any way that I felt that way about him because I'm saying this stuff about his dad. I don't know if it makes sense, but that was my rationale. And, but like I say, it backfired on me for quite a while, and being a single mom, after those years of being married and everything, um, I didn't make the best decision. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was young when I mean, not young, young. I was 20. So, I wasn't young, young, but I still didn't know nothing. Like I knew nothing about babies, about raising babies. I had older brothers. Like I never was around babies and stuff like that. So I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know what was supposed to happen. Like I didn't know any of this. And so, um, yeah, it was just it made it bad on me, but I took it and I endured it and it hurt. Um, because my son did have the wrong narrative. Um, but like I said, that was my decision. That's how I handled it. I didn't want my son to feel bad or feel like, I um didn't want or like him or something because I'm saying bad, negative, ugly stuff about his dad or whatever. And so I just let that play out. And it took a while, for it to finally play out because I figured at the end of the day, my son is he'll figure it out. You know what I'm saying? He'll finally see and know that I did make you available. I did let him, he was free to come and see and be with you and whatever, however he wanted to be in your life. He chose not to. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, we understand whatever, how much time he spent in prison or whatever, for whatever he did, because, like I said, I didn't know nothing about that. But of course, not that time, but the time when he was out and making all them other babies and siblings or whatever that my son had. And yeah, I mean, that was plenty of opportunity. I didn't stand in the way, you know. And I think there are a lot of situations like that. I really do. And, I don't know what the psychosis is. I don't know what the mindset is. Like I don't know what it is, why so many black men are resentful at the moms and the mothers and will take stuff out on the mom and mother and then go and heroify or um, make a hero, make a monument and make a whatever out of the dad who wasn't even there. Like I don't get that and I don't understand that, but that's what this video is about. I just wanted to share that. Couldn't really share it without sharing a part of me, my life, my story. Hope you got something out of it. There's no shame or embarrassment in any of it. If you have any questions or comments or anything on it, let me know. Be respectful. Um, yeah, you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so that you'll know when I upload new videos. And you guys, until the next video, I'll see you next time.